Vicki Gardner was being interviewed on live TV Wednesday when a deranged gunman named Vester Flanagan opened fire. The reporter and cameraman with her were killed, but she survived and remembers everything. Here's what she told her husband.
She just dove to the ground, curled up in a ball, and he shot her while she was on the ground. And then she just laid there because she was, she heard the gun click, and then she didn't hear anything for a long time. She was afraid he was standing over her still.
Remarkably, Tim Gardner says his wife was able to get up and walk to the ambulance after being shot in the back. She had a kidney and part of her colon removed, but is going to be okay. The president and other Democrats have used the shooting as another example to push for gun control. Gardner's husband doesn't blame the gun. Here's what he told Fox News.
If he hadn't had a gun, he'd have had a knife or he'd had a machete. He was bound and determined to try to make a name for himself on live TV because he'd failed at it so many times. So no, I don't blame the gun. I blame the guy that was holding the gun.
And the father of Allison Parker addressed reporters today. He says he's going to fight to tighten gun laws, but insists the effort isn't going to take away the Second Amendment rights.
We're not trying to take people's guns away. All we want to do is keep crazy people from getting guns, and there's got to be a way to do it.
All right, we'll go to you, Katie, first. You wrote books on guns. Your thoughts on both of these gentlemen?
Well, the good news is that there are ways to prevent mentally ill people from getting guns. Virginia is one of those places where if someone is put into the mental health system and their information is then put into the FBI background check system, they are ineligible to buy a gun. Now, in this case, despite the mental health problems that this killer had, and the station did their job in saying you need to go to this mental health institution, you need to get some help. He did. He wasn't legally adjudicated with a mental health problem, so it wasn't on his record. There was nothing in his record that indicated he was ineligible to buy a firearm. He passed the background check that all of these people have been advocating for this week. He purchased a very basic 9mm Glock pistol standard capacity firearm. And so when you look at what's been said, particularly by politicians, Terry McAuliffe, Virginia governor, for example, he implied this week that Virginia just doesn't have background checks at all, and it's irresponsibly false. Not only do you have to pass a background check, you also have to provide 2 forms of identification.
They say here in New York that most guns in New York are coming from Virginia.
One final point. The National Shooting Sports Foundation has actually done significant work at encouraging states to put mental health records into the FBI background check system so that these kinds of people don't get their hands on guns.
Now, I got up early and I was watching Fox and Friends. I saw one Geraldo Rivera make a suggestion that I couldn't believe. You want to amend the Second Amendment?
You want to amend the 14th, and we're going to mess with the Constitution. Let's take the stupidest amendment that the Constitution has, which is the right to keep and bear arms as construed by courts and politicians to allow. There have been
some of us would say it's the only one that allows for the other amendments to for the Constitution.
Okay, then explain this to me. How after Sandy Hook, Newtown, Connecticut, 26 babies and teachers slaughtered by a deranged gunman, there have been 85,000 gun deaths in this country just since Sandy Hook. And we have 3 times the gun death rate of any civilized nation on earth, 3 times more than Turkey. I mean, what the hell? At some point, we have to recognize. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. Let's take off the table. You won't amend the 14th, and I won't amend the 2nd. But
first of all, I didn't even bring up the 14th, nor do I have an opinion on the 14th.
Can we get back to this?
Let me make my point. My son now is going to be a merchant mariner. He's had to have education and physical exams and mental exams.
What amendments to the Second Amendment do you want to do?
Why is it so easy to buy a gun in this country?
It's not easy, Geraldo.
Why don't you have mandatory training? Why don't you have drug tests when you buy guns? Right. Why is it so you can buy guns easier than you can buy a used car?
That's
a lot of changes. Can I do this? Let's listen to this. Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark has an interesting challenge for President Obama, who wants more gun control like Geraldo in America.
Here's my challenge to the President of the United States. If you think this is so easy, forego your Secret Service protection for you, for the First Lady, and your children.
Good luck.
And see what it's like to have to fend for yourself. And then we'll sit down and have a conversation so you know what we here at ground level have to deal with on a daily basis in terms of self-defense. I am done asking people in my community to outsource their personal safety to the government.
Greg, this is something you've been saying for a long time. All
Yeah.
these gun rights.
That was
freaks.
reckless and irresponsible. I'm telling you right
Okay.
now,
Wait,
that man
can
should
we-
be ashamed of
Let
himself.
somebody else talk.
The president of the
Let
United States
somebody
is going to
else talk.
forego his
Please, Greg.
I mean, please,
Just call him Geraldo.
when we put that on the air as if this is a responsible law enforcement official?
He is
Elected
he's-
by his people,
right,
by the way.
Greg, please. The
Okay.
floor is yours.
There's a lot of dishonesty going on coming specifically from Geraldo. When you look at the statistics, and you know this as well as Katie, say the Washington Post will say that they're averaging more than one mass shooting per day. What they do is the overwhelming statistics are gang shootings because they know that gang shootings will not get the headlines.
The overwhelming
So what they say,
statistics are suicides.
gang. So you're telling me there's not a lot of gang
There's more
shootings?
suicide than murder.
There are more gang shootings than mass shootings. And when you look at statistics, you find that there is actually no increase in mass shootings once you look at gang shootings. So you're being disingenuous. You're saying like all these things are happening all the time and we don't care about dead babies. Screw you. We do care about
Dead babies?
We
What
do.
are you talking-
That's what
you're
you
bringing
said.
abortion now?
That's what you said.
This
You
is a
said
cop
you said
who says the
babies
president,
die.
a
You said
cop who says
babies
the
die.
president should forego his Secret Service protection.
Yes, but you know,
after
that's
we've been traumatized with presidents being assassinated.
You know
How
what the point
dare
he's
he?
making? The point he's
How
making is
dare he?
actually brilliant. The point is brilliant. What he's saying
Brilliant?
is, if you want to live by your beliefs, then you should be prepared to sincerely live by them.
President of the
That
United
means-
States.
That means when you go to Fox News every morning, Geraldo, you don't have armed security either.
All right, can we bring Danny in here for Terry McAuliffe, as Katie pointed out, was within minutes of the shooting saying, tying this to gun laws. Too early, too soon. What's the political fallout?
Well, I think that a lot of this is all unhelpful because it doesn't get to the root problem, which is that he was obviously a mentally ill person. He was not diagnosed. His family couldn't get him help, and then he snapped. And so that is actually the common denominator in a lot of the mass shootings or in the cold-blooded ones that we see. Terry McAuliffe, like, if somebody could show me a policy that says these specific changes on gun laws would prevent more mentally ill people from getting guns or whatever. If they can actually show me that, I could be persuaded. And I think that is persuadable. What is not helpful is when a governor comes out minutes before even knowing anything about the shooter and makes
He's not even
policy
he's not even
pronouncements.
caught yet.
That's true. Before he was even caught. Because that's where he goes. It's actually, they think that it's easier to deal with the gun problem than it is to deal with the mental health problem. And guess what? Because of that type of fighting, no problems get solved.
And so we have Geraldo and I will go back and forth over this till the day we die. We know we will. You will be on one side, I'll be on the other. But there's one
As
little.
long as you don't shoot me.
Yes. And I won't say screw you anymore. But anyway, a lot of these employers adopt a policy to provide as little information as possible to future employers. That's another problem. The employers knew this guy was trouble, and they didn't tell anybody about it. That's a problem.
We need to wrap it up. Good debate. Always heated, but always good.
This movement that we've started, that you're all participating in, is just something that's happening at UT Austin, you know, that center of radicalism. Yeah! UT! But no, it isn't.
The students here that are all very liberal and they mean well, but unfortunately they've been misinformed by their professors and by the media that the thing to do is to make the entire campus gun-free. So when I first got here, I said, okay, where's my free gun? And all they did was laugh. I said, yeah, gun-free doesn't mean anything.
But when we say that we want gun-free campuses for the aspect of educational purposes and security of our students, I believe that as well should be respected.
But if you're saying that being gun-free on campus is security of students, why can't you just say that taking guns from everybody's security for the population?
Because that's a whole,
Where do you draw
that's
the
a
line?
generalization.
Where do you draw the line? That's a generalization you just made.
Sure, but that's a way bigger generalization. You can think.
So it's okay to make generalizations as long as it's small. Where do you draw a line?
Yeah, that is a great point. But
show up to
And you want to deal with reason, like it says on the back of her shirt? Protect myself with reason? Okay, here comes a criminal. Oh, hey, brother, let me reason with you. Don't shoot me. Don't take my money. Don't rape my daughter. I'm going to use reason to stop you. And he's going to go, you're stupid. Boom, shoot your rape your wife, kill your children, take all your goods, and run out the door.
Let's have a conversation where you don't. No. You were cursing, called him an ignorant. A conversation is a moderate. It's something where you don't come at someone.
Okay, I'll try that. I promise I'll try that.
Okay.
I apologize for the language.
Because
I get upset when I hear stuff that doesn't make sense.
I 100% understand, but that doesn't help anybody in any given situation to come to a middle ground, because it's not going to be this extreme right or extreme left that's going to win. It's going to be able to come together in the middle.
I'm a libertarian. I'm not about right and left.
I understand.
About Democrats and Republicans. They're all.
I'm not talking
CNN, ABC, all the media. All they do is lie to us.
And I'm not talking about Republicans and Democrats.
When you go to these schools and these classrooms, that's all they do here is put propaganda in your head. Their opinions, the professors' opinions.
You have places in the country that are different that probably would have different sets of regulations that would apply better, which is why the Second Amendment is a general right. We're not taking that away. We're saying in some cases...
You're taking it away by infringing on it.
In some locations...
Yeah, so you're taking away a right. Let's just get that straight.
We don't want, as Second Amendment supporters, do not want the right of a person to protect themselves with a firearm anywhere in the United States. I don't want to take it away by any individual or any group or any business or anybody. Now, I realize private property has an exception, and they can say it's private property, you can't come on our property with a gun.
Educate yourself. Take a class, learn what the laws are in your state, so that way you can actually effectively debate these issues because you know what the laws are and you know what your rights are. Just get involved and participate and show up.
Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is